Dr. Osborne here with Pick Dr. Osborne's Brain, and today Susan writes in with this question. She wants to know what can be done naturally to help somebody with sleep apnea issues. Look, sleep apnea is a major problem, and arguably one of the most common causes of sleep apnea is being overweight or being obese. The extra weight contributes to many people's problem. We see that repetitively in the office when people come in and they drop 30 or 40 pounds as a result of changing their diet, and their sleep apnea completely goes away. So I would argue that one of the big causes and one of the big trigger factors in sleep apnea is just being overweight, and if you dial in your diet and dial in your activity, you might see that problem reduce and go away. But let's talk about some of the other really big triggers that I see for people that suffer chronically with sleep apnea. Number one is chronic sinus infection. So you get an infection up in the sinuses, in the deep nasal passages, and that can create bacterial byproducts or fungal byproducts that can swell the inside of your airways. And that swelling of the airways leads to a restriction. That's why so many people do well with a CPAP machine, because it forces the air through those swollen passages. But look, the reality is if you reduce the inflammation, then the passages won't be swollen and you'll get plenty of oxygen and plenty of air at night when you're trying to sleep. So what are some of the things that you can do? My advice, go to your doctor and have them do a culture of your sinus and deep sinuses and rule out any kind of infection, because if that is contributing to a chronic inflammatory swelling, then again, that could increase your risk for the development of sleep apnea. So make sure when you're asking for that culture, though, that you're not just having them culture for bacteria, have them also culture for fungus. There's some research studies that have shown that most people's upper respiratory and sinus infections are actually fungal or yeast-based and not bacteria-based. So if the doctor runs a culture but only looks for bacteria and doesn't look for fungus, you might be missing a part of the equation. So ask for both of those if you go in to see the doc. Number two, one of the other big things that I see involved with sleep apnea is anemia. People that have anemias, and there are a lot of different kinds of anemia. There's iron deficiency anemia, vitamin B12 deficiency anemia, there's folate deficiency anemia, there's vitamin C deficiency anemia. So a lot of different nutritional deficiencies can actually contribute to an anemic state of your red blood cells. And so what happens is your red blood cells can't carry oxygen as well. And so when you lay down at night and try to go to sleep and the brain's not getting enough oxygen, you can't get that deep sleep. You don't ever get into that deep REM sleep. So the anemias are a very, very common cause. So ask your doc to rule out any kinds of nutritional anemias and make sure that that's also not contributing to your sleep apnea problem. Now, a third cause that I see most commonly, actually there's two more I'll share with you. One is dairy. Dairy is a mucogenic product. So a lot of people consume a lot of dairy, drink milk, eat cheese, butter, not realizing that dairy causes excessive mucus production. It's a mucogenic product. So the mucus, that mucus as it builds can compact the sinuses, can compact the airways, can build in the lungs, and it can create problems with getting adequate air, right? Again, which is why so many people do well with CPAP. So avoiding dairy, go on a couple of months where you restrict the dairy out of your diet and see if that doesn't lead to some improvement in terms of your symptoms of sleep apnea. And then the fourth, and arguably in my opinion the biggest, is grain consumption and gluten sensitivity. So gluten is a major, major factor in sleep apnea. I've seen it countless times in my clinic where people come in, they were already at a sleep apnea clinic, they were diagnosed with sleep apnea, they're using a CPAP machine on a nightly basis. And what ends up happening when they actually go on a gluten-free diet is they start needing that CPAP machine less and less and less. And one of the reasons why is that gluten can also cause swelling of the internal tissues leading to airway restriction, but gluten's also known to contribute to airway inflammation, so that can reduce your ability to generate oxygen as you're breathing the air in. And so again, that can reduce the oxygen that gets to your brain, and that can contribute to sleep apnea problems. So going gluten-free might also be a big piece of the puzzle for helping you with your sleep apnea. Look, if you want to know whether or not going gluten-free is right for you, I'll put a link just below this video to a quiz you can take. It's just a simple few questions, and if you answer them, we'll let you know whether or not gluten sensitivity might be part of your issue. So again, click that link below if you want to take that quiz if you think gluten might be playing a role in your sleep apnea. Look, thanks so much for asking your question. I wish you excellent health, and we'll see you in the next video. Check out these 2 videos right here. They might have life-changing, life-saving information for you. And make sure you subscribe below so you can get updates from us. And I've also put a link in the comment section for you. If you're trying to go gluten-free and you're not sure whether it's the right diet, that quiz might give you the answer that you're looking for.